Hey everybody, my name is TUXRO, part of Team TUX, and today we're going to be talking about how you can be a better teammate in squads. This also works in duos, so I want to go through 5 tips of how you can be a better teammate, helping your team out to win fights and win the game. If you don't follow my channel on YouTube, it's TUXRO. Please give me a subscribe, a follow, any comments, any likes really helps me be seen. So we're a new channel, we're nearly at 100 subscribers, so I'd really like to hit that 100 by the end of September. Anything I can do to help is I'm right here. If you want to watch me live, I'm on twitch.tv/TUXRO. Come along, we are played squads, solos, play a lot of ranked, play some tournaments. We pretty much do everything that you'd want to come and watch, so come along. Let's go. Tip 1. Sharing loot. Too many times in normal games I've played with people who are not used to playing in squads, and 2 of your teammates will have 1 first aid and 1 painkiller, and 1 of your teammates will have 5 first aids and 12 painkillers. This is really bad management of loot. If you go in a fight and one of your teammates only got 1 first aid, they can only heal up 1 time. The person with the 5 first aids has much more chance of looting. The problem is, if that person goes down and you can't get them, there's no way of you, 1, getting towards that loot and getting it back if you win the fight, but 2, having the capacity to fight the fight more controlled, because you've got more chance of healing up. If you've only got 1 time of healing to use, it's going to be very hard to fight against a very good team. What you need to do, if you are sitting on a lot of meds and you're thinking to yourself, I've got a lot of meds here, you should be talking to your teammates and telling them, does anyone need any meds? I've got loads. Call out what you need. You haven't got to give all your meds away, but if you've got 4 to 5 first aids, you could give 2 of them away, because maximum you would need in any game really is 3 to 4. You are working on the premise that if you have 3 to 4 first aids, you'll kill the next team and you can replenish your ammo, you can replenish your first aid, you can replenish the rest of your backpack. So remember, don't be greedy with your loot, share, because that person you're sharing with might be able to use that extra first aid you give them to come and get you up if you get knocked. Tip 2. Rotations during fights. If you're fighting a 4-on-4 squad or even a 2-on-2 squad, rotations are massively important. If you are sat 5 yards from each other, you make yourself a very, very easy target to get shot at by the other team. They could probably hit both of you 2 or 3 times within the same clip. You should be looking for angles against the enemy team. So if the enemy team are, say, 100 to 200 meters in front of you and you have a team of 4, you should be spreading out and trying to rotate. A good way of doing it is splitting from 2 to 2. We do this a lot. We go 2 on 2. So we'll have 2 go left, 2 go right. And that way you are basically using a pincer movement to get more angles on your enemy so they don't know exactly where you are. Another good way of doing it, especially in final circles, but this means you have to be a little bit better at using your control of the circle, is if you push 3 people one way and 1 person does a massive flank on the other team. That rotation of that single flank will be able to give you an angle while your enemy team thinks your team are coming in from one direction, you're coming in from a different direction, putting shots in. Even if you don't get the knocks, you can still confuse the enemy team and make them think they don't know where any enemies are, which leaves your team to push in and get the final kill and get that win. So use your rotations, spread out, and use every angle possible. Tip 3, and this one is what I see so many times I don't see people doing. Cover downed teammates. You can cover down teammates in one of two ways. If your teammate gets knocked sort of in the open, but they are close to you enough to crawl to you within 10 seconds, at least one or two of your teammates should be firing back at that other team. Just because your teammate went down doesn't mean you then run off and hide behind a rock or behind a hill and let your teammate die. Sometimes, obviously, they're in bad positions where you can't get them, or they're across the open so you can't get them. But if they're near you but in the open, you need to be instantly putting fire back on the enemy team. That way the enemy team won't have that chance to peek, and they maybe that 3 or 4 seconds will allow your teammate to crawl back over the hill for you to get the res, and that person may be all the difference in winning or losing. A second way of doing it, depending on how good the quality of the enemies are, is you can make sort of a wall. It's a bit harder and you are going to take some damage, but if someone's really close to getting behind a rock, you can shove yourself in the way of the bullets and fire back at the same time. You might get hit a couple of times, but you will be defending your teammate and they might get around the corner. You might take some damage, but it's all about getting everyone to the end to have the biggest chance of winning. Tip 4, and this one is sort of an amalgamation of the 3 tips beforehand. You have to have this to be able to do the things before, and that is be brave. It's a computer game at the end of the day. If you die, then you can play another game. You can get in the next game with your teammates. Being brave is the difference between doing something which is clutch and is going to get you remembered and save your team, win a game, make you something so people talk about it, and then sitting behind a rock and dying and letting your teammates die because you didn't want to run out. Being brave in PUBG makes you a better player. It puts you in situations where you might die. I've died plenty of times being brave, but it's made me a better player. It's made me think about what I would have done better in that situation. It's saved my teammate who's then gone on to clutch the game. It's given me a chance to make a shot I wouldn't have shot beforehand. So all these things you do, you have to be brave to do. You don't have to be stupid. You don't have to run out in the open. It's just about being brave, shooting back at teams, going for a down teammate, giving up that loot when you don't really want to, having 100 sevens and your teammate's got 4, and you're thinking, oh, I've only got 100 sevens for 2 guns. I'm going to give him 30. I'm going to give him 40. I'm going to deal with 60, and I'm going to use my sniper more. All these things make you a better player, and it makes you a better teammate to your friends and the people you're playing with. Because being brave is the difference between coming 5th in a tournament and winning a tournament. Not being talked about and being talked about. So what you've got to do is be brave. Tip 5, and the last one. A massive part of being in a team is comms. And when I mean comms, I don't just mean he's over there. There's comms in every different way. So talking about compounds, what compounds we need to go to, what meds you have, what meds you can give up, asking people what they have, and remembering what your teammates have. You should remember what your teammates have, so then if you find something your teammates need, you can give it to them. It's not just about you and your gameplay, it's about your team as a whole. If you remember that your mate needed a grip and you run over a grip, 10 minutes later, pick it up and then you can give it to him. Then there's comms during fights. If you find a team 200 meters off, he's at the tree, isn't a good enough comm. He's at the hill, isn't a good enough comm. It needs to be north 135, brow of hill. South 245 at the shack, peak and right hand side. These are the comms you need to be doing in games to really push the boundaries of going from an average team to a team that are going to be on point. If a team's pushing you, that is click. That needs to be in place. A team's pushing, you say from behind. From behind's one of the worst comms I've ever seen in my life. If I'm facing north and Nuka's facing south, and I say behind me or behind you, and he's facing south, he's going to look north. If I'm already facing north and they're coming from my south because I hear them, I'm going to turn around. To me, it's behind me. To Nuka, it's north. It's behind him. It shouldn't be that. I'm going to say, people coming in, I'm going to turn, look, south, close, danger close. And then they're in. Your teammates know exactly where they're coming from. Behind me, to the left, to the right. To the right and left only works if you're all running in the same direction. If you can see that everyone's close running in the same direction, yeah, you can say right, you can say left or in front. But most of the times, you're not looking in the same direction. People are looking all different directions. Any good team in most positions will be looking in every single angle. So if you say to the right, they're going to have no idea where you are. No idea where you are, no idea where anyone is. How I deal with that is I look at the direction where they are looking or where they are shooting. But if you're in a tournament against very good players or in ranked against very good players, especially in last fights, then there's no point in calling over here, over there, because no one knows. You need to be calling big comms. Only one you could get away with in that position is on me. If you say on me, then obviously they need to your teammates just look where you are, and then you can push towards where they are in their position. But it should be good calls. North, 120, 150, at the shack, at the tree between the rock and the big tree. First hill up, peeking. So, use your comms, then you'll really see the difference between when you are working as a team. Because the more your comms are better, the more your team will be able to work together to fight the people in the right direction. If your comms are bad, then your teammates are going to take an extra 10 seconds to find out where they are. So you're not going to get the right shooting on the people before they've either disappeared or they've pushed up on you before you've had a chance to defend. Then you're going up 1 against 4, 2 against 4 instead of 4 against 4. Thank you for watching my tips video. I hope that you can put all these into order and use them in your fights on the battlefield with your teammates, and you become better teammates and be a better team working together, trying to win, trying to pump up them leaderboards, winning them tournaments, getting higher kills. My name's TUXRow. Come and check me out live. Remember, twitch.tv/TUXRow. Bye now.